An ordinary day, a quiet house, innocent silence, but behind it, a knife hidden in a smile. He came home just a few hours early, and his entire world turned to dust. One step, and the walls became witnesses to a betrayal that had been hiding not for a year, not two, but from the very beginning. What he had raised as his own turned out to belong to someone else. The one he loved more than life itself was erasing him with practiced tenderness. But she miscalculated. This time, he didn't break. He watched, he listened, he recorded. And when the truth became undeniable, he didn't choose revenge. He chose truth. And the truth was far more destructive. Not for him, for her, for everyone who stood by her side. Because when love is turned into a weapon, there is only one way forward, through fire, all the way to the end. Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If you're here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends or family. It really helps my channel a lot. Please tell me in which city or country you watched this video. I value every one of your comments. So, let's get started. My name is Jonathan Holloway, and my world unraveled today. I returned home unexpectedly, my business trip cut short, hoping to surprise my wife. As I turned into the driveway at 3 in the afternoon, an unfamiliar sight greeted me, a sleek, black Audi parked brazenly at the center of my driveway, a place usually reserved for my car. That should have set off alarm bells. Diana, my wife, always insisted that guests park by the curb. Yet I brushed aside the unease gnawing at me, opting instead to enter quietly through the back door. The silence that enveloped me was heavy, unnatural. In our house, always alive with the sounds of 2 kids and Diana's constant playlist, it felt like an eerie void. For a moment, I thought they were all out. But as I neared the staircase, I heard them. Muted sounds, muffled gasps, and the unmistakable creaking of our bed. Her voice, breathless and uninhibited, clearly Diana's. My heart pounded, but I didn't shout. I didn't charge upstairs. Instead, I pulled out my phone, my thumb trembling as I pressed record. When I reached the bedroom doorway, they were lost in each other, oblivious to the world. Diana's bare back arched, her fingers gripping the headboard with a passion I'd never witnessed before. Not with me. 18 years of marriage, 2 daughters, Sloane, 13, and Harper, 11, and here was a version of Diana I didn't recognize. She seemed liberated, radiant. Words poured from her lips, raw and unrestrained, language I never imagined her using. I stood in silence, detached, my camera capturing every second. I took photos. It felt surreal, as if I were an observer in a twisted drama where a man's life crumbled in slow motion. They never saw me. No yelling, no violence. I turned and left, my chest hollow. I drove straight to the office, the route a blur. Franny, my assistant for 15 years, looked up in surprise, but I passed her like a ghost, locked myself in my office, and stared at 2 framed baby photos I'd taken from Diana's drawer. There had been 4 pictures on her nightstand once, our wedding photo, a family portrait, and the girls' baby photos. Now, only the girls' photos remained. The rest were tucked away in a drawer, a quiet testament to something I hadn't seen coming. I called Ennis. He answered with his usual cheer, but the tension in my voice silenced him. I told him everything. His tone shifted instantly. "Do you want a divorce?" he asked. "No," I whispered, a strange, calm resolve settling over me. "I want her to feel this. I want her to regret." "Understood," Ennis replied, voice low. "We'll get evidence. For now, act like nothing's changed. Can you do that?" "I can." That evening, I returned home. Diana greeted me with a bright, practiced smile. "Jonathan, you're back early," she chirped, kissing my cheek. Her warmth felt like a lie. "Not hungry," I murmured, brushing past her. The girls greeted me with hugs, their laughter a cruel reminder of the life I thought I had. Upstairs, the bed was neatly made, the air tinged with the scent of cleaner. Every trace of betrayal scrubbed away, except for the nightstand. The missing photos hadn't returned. "Oh, I broke the frames while dusting," Diana's voice explained behind me, casual, almost convincing. "I took them to be repaired." I nodded without a word. Dinner was a quiet, stifled affair. Even the girls seemed to sense the tension in the air. Later, I retreated to my office, whiskey in hand, staring at the walls of the one space that still felt like mine. My sanctuary. My jaw tightened. I wouldn't confront her. Not yet. Not until I had everything I needed. Over the next few days I played my role, the oblivious, trusting husband. In the pale light of morning, I stirred awake, prepared myself for the day, commuted to the office, shared meals, hugged the children, and each night settled beside her in bed. Her affection grew relentless, an endless stream of I love yous by midday, constant admiration for my choice of ties, and a tireless focus on my mood. Yet it wasn't guilt gnawing at her. It was fear. She felt an unsettling shift, but couldn't identify its source. Franny noticed it too. Her eyes often lingered on the framed family photographs that lined my desk, as though they whispered hidden truths. One afternoon, she knocked lightly before slipping inside without waiting. "Are you okay, Jonathan?" "I'm fine." "You sure?" "I said I'm fine," I interrupted, my tone sharper than I intended. She paused, nodded slightly, and stood, a moment of hesitation. "If you ever need to talk?" She left, but her gaze had once again drifted to those pictures of my children. She suspected something, but it was Ennis who shattered the illusion. "Jonathan, you need to come in," he called out, his voice stripped of its usual lightness. I stepped into his office, where his usual humor was replaced with a grim, pained expression. "We have everything: surveillance, messages, photos, calls. This isn't just a fling. It's been going on since before you were married." My world tilted. "What are you saying?" "Her lover, Brandon, her high school sweetheart. He's been boasting. Claimed he was with Diana on the morning of your wedding." My throat closed. "You're joking." "I wish I were. He said you'd be getting sloppy seconds." His words. I shot to my feet, the room spinning. Ennis grabbed a towel, pressing it to my forehead. "Breathe, Jonathan." "There's more," he warned, "and it's worse." I laughed, a bitter, fractured sound. "What could be worse?" "Your daughters. There's a significant chance they aren't yours." His voice was like a knife. "We can't confirm without testing, but we have footage. Diana, Brandon, and the girls at a park. A picnic. The kids calling him Dad." My world caved in. I sank into the chair. "Do they know?" He nodded reluctantly. "Yes, they know." Rage surged, but all I managed was a hollow silence. "What now?" "You can pursue annulment for fraud. 18 years means nothing legally. 4 years from discovery is the statute. No support, no alimony, but also no legal rights to the girls." "They're still my daughters," I whispered. "Legally? Maybe? Emotionally? That's up to you." That night, sleep was a distant memory. I left before Diana woke, driving straight to Butch's, Cheyenne Gillette in full, an ex-Navy IT lead with a body like a tank and a demeanor sharp as steel. Becky, her partner, offered a silent hug as I unloaded everything. Every deceit, every betrayal, the truth about the girls, and Diana's twisted view of alpha fathers and beta providers. "So she wanted an alpha to father the kids but a beta to raise them?" Becky asked, frowning. "That's what Franny told me." "That's not just manipulative, it's deranged," Butch muttered. Becky's voice softened. "You're the better parent, Jonathan. And you don't have to go through this alone." I tried to laugh, but it caught in my chest. "She destroyed everything, yet insists she loves me." Becky's brow arched. "Do you believe her?" "I think she believes it." "And you? What do you believe?" My gaze fell to my hands. I believe she used me. The next morning, Diana barged into my office, her heels clicking like gunshots against the floor, her face painted with familiar artificial charm. "Jonathan!" she called, a forced warmth in her voice. I didn't answer. "Why won't you respond to my texts?" Jonathan's fingers tapped against the sleek, polished surface of his desk, his attention wandering to the collection of baby photos neatly arranged before him. A tense silence hung in the room, growing thicker until Diana's gaze settled on the pictures. Her face went pale. "You were there," she murmured, her voice a strained whisper, disbelief etched in every word. Jonathan's nod was slow, deliberate, a confirmation without embellishment. Diana eased herself into the chair opposite him, crossing her legs with a practiced, almost regal indifference. "It's not what you're thinking." Leaning forward, Jonathan's tone turned icy, each word precise and sharp. "You slept with him. In our bed. What else should I think?" Diana's shoulders rose in a feigned, indifferent shrug. It was a mistake. "How long?" His voice cut through the air, demanding truth. Another shrug, though the mask of composure wavered. "A few months." "Don't lie to me." "Fine," she snapped, her voice hardening. "Years. On and off. But it meant nothing. That makes it even worse." Jonathan's voice was tight, strained with hurt. "Diana, come on." "I love you," she insisted, the words spilling out in a frantic rush. "I always have. Brandon is just different. I can't explain it." "You don't have to." Jonathan leaned back, his expression unreadable. "I know everything." A flicker of fear crossed her face. "Franny?" she whispered. Jonathan stayed silent, her arms folded defensively across her chest. "So now what? Are you really going to destroy everything over a single mistake?" Jonathan rose, his palms pressing firmly on the desk. "This wasn't just a mistake, Diana. It was betrayal. You lied for nearly 2 decades. You made me raise children that aren't mine, and now you sit there like it's just a minor lapse?" Her confident facade crumbled. "Watch your tone." "Or what? More lies? More secrets?" His voice had turned cold, a blade's edge. Diana stood, her heels clicking against the floor like distant thunder. "If you tear this apart, you lose them. You lose everything." "They were never mine," Jonathan replied, his words a heavy, final verdict. Her expression twisted with venom. "You know what's pathetic? You were so obsessed with being the perfect father that you forgot how to be a man." Jonathan didn't flinch, his stare unwavering. Diana snatched her purse, her glare cutting like a blade. "You think you've won something here? You have no idea what's coming. You aren't ready for a fight, Jonathan, but I am." With that, she stormed out. Jonathan's hands trembled briefly before he steadied himself, reaching for the phone. "Ennis, file it." "You're sure?" "Do it. Serve her." Diana didn't leave quietly. Moments later, she crashed back into his office, fury blazing in her eyes. "You coward!" she spat. "You think dragging me to court makes you some sort of hero?" Her hand swept across his desk, scattering pens and papers. A binder flew, and a glass award shattered against the wall. "You spied on me? Stalked me like I'm some criminal?" she screamed, advancing on him. Jonathan stood firm, silent. Her open palm struck his cheek, once, then again. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Security rushed in, but she wasn't done. Her hand grabbed a letter opener, not to stab, but to throw. It struck the wall, quivering. "Don't touch me!" she screamed at the guards. "None of you know who I am!" They seized her, struggling against her flailing, venom-laced fury. "You think the girls will choose you after this? They barely even know you." Jonathan remained still, unyielding in the chaos. "I made you," she howled as they dragged her out. "I hope you rot alone." Her final spiteful act, a glob of spit landing at his feet, hung like a curse in the air. 15 minutes later, Ennis called. She showed up. He chuckled. Jonathan wiped his cheek with a napkin. Yeah. Did she slap you? Twice. Throw anything? Half the office. A brief pause. Permanent order. No more chances. 2 months. That was all the time left before the annulment hearing. Ennis made sure the date hit the headlines, calling it a warning. On the other side, Diana was relentless, sending late-night messages, leaving voicemails that shifted from pleading to hostile. You still love me, Jonathan. I know it. We can fix this. And then another, laced with spite. You think this is about justice? It's revenge. You're a coward. I'll make sure you never see the girls again. Her threats weren't empty. After being served, she disappeared without a trace, taking Sloane and Harper with her, crossing state lines with no farewell. Any chance of reconciliation shattered. I ended up at the Horse's Head one evening, craving solitude and a stiff drink. But Diana was there too, stepping out of a sleek black SUV, her heels clicking on the pavement, hair flawlessly styled. She didn't speak at first, just gestured to the tinted window. Behind the glass, Sloane and Harper's faces peered out, pressed close. Brandon sat at the wheel, expression like stone. They still love you, Jonathan, Diana murmured. But if you keep pushing, you'll lose them. I held her gaze. You're using them as pawns. I'm protecting my family. They belong with me, she whispered, her voice firm. Not with you. Not really. I stepped closer. Do you think this ends well for you? If you care about them, you'd stop this fight. We can figure something out. Me, you, Brandon. Figure something out? You want me to share them with the man you betrayed me with? Not share, she corrected. Just accept him. My teeth clenched. Go to hell, Diana. She walked away, but the conflict was far from over. As I left the bar, darkness had settled over the city, streetlights casting a yellow glow. I barely made it 2 blocks when the black SUV raced up behind me, headlights blazing in the mirror. It veered in front, screeching to a halt, forcing me to stop. I hit the brakes, the car jolting. Brandon stepped out before the SUV even settled, marching toward me. I got out too, keeping my voice level. What is this supposed to be? You were warned. You didn't listen, he snapped. She's trying to keep them safe. You're dragging them into chaos. Safe? She's weaponizing them, dangling them over me. He thrust a finger in my direction. You say that, but you're the one escalating this. You want to be their father? Stop fighting her. I moved closer. I won't rewrite the truth to make you comfortable. His jaw tightened. She wants peace. So do they. She wants control, I shot back, and she thinks you can intimidate me. She wants stability. You're the disruption. Stability built on lies isn't stability. Silence hung between us, the air thick with tension. Brandon leaned in, his voice a low threat. Push this, and she'll ruin you. Label you unstable, vengeful. She's already laying the groundwork. Did she send you here to threaten me? She wants you to think about the girls. Don't pretend you care about them the way I do. They're not bargaining chips, and you're not their father. His fists clenched, a spark of anger in his eyes. For a moment, I thought he might swing. Part of me wanted it. But flashing red and blue lights interrupted. The slow roll of a patrol car, window sliding down. Everything okay here? The officer called. Brandon stepped back, his fists relaxing. I didn't move. All good, I replied, not breaking eye contact. The officer watched a moment longer, then drove off. Brandon muttered something under his breath, retreating to the SUV. As the car disappeared into the night, its red taillights melting into the darkness, I stood frozen, the cold air wrapping around me like an unwelcome embrace. I needed him to grasp the truth. Next time, there would be no passing police cruiser to intervene. That evening, I found myself at Butch and Becky's place, pouring out everything, the looming SUV, the threats that echoed in my mind, and the haunting sight of the girls pressed against the window, their faces ghostly with fear. Becky's face crumpled, tears brimming in her eyes, while Butch's expression hardened, a quiet storm brewing beneath her calm exterior. "She's a narcissist," Butch declared without hesitation. "To her, love is nothing more than a weapon, a means of control." "She's winning," I murmured, a sense of defeat settling over me like a weight. "Every time I try to pull myself out, she yanks me back under." "No," Butch corrected, her voice resolute. "You're still standing. You're not drowning in a bottle. You're thinking. You're planning. She's weaponizing the kids against you." "Then don't let her," Becky added gently but firmly. "Don't let her destroy you." I wanted to believe them, clinging to their words like a lifeline. But then Troy appeared at my office the following week. Diana had sent him. Troy was married to her sister Montana, steady, quiet Montana, the one whispered about after the scandal. Montana's affair had detonated like a bomb, leaving Troy to pick through the wreckage, choosing to forgive her, remaining by her side, his smile a mask at family gatherings despite the scars beneath. Now, Troy stood in my doorway, shoulders slumped, a man weighed down by a message he didn't support. His face was tired, eyes dulled with exhaustion. I motioned for him to sit, offered a drink he refused. He simply sank into the chair opposite me, looking like a man staring into the abyss. "You're here to tell me to forgive her?" I asked, my voice flat. He shook his head slowly. "I'm staying with her. Not because I've forgiven her. Because I still love her, and I'm too old to start over." I nodded, not in agreement, but in understanding. "That's your choice." "And you?" he asked, a hint of desperate hope in his voice. "I'm burning it all to the ground," I replied. He didn't argue. He didn't have to. The annulment trial became a public spectacle, a brutal autopsy of 18 years of marriage. Allegations of fraud, DNA tests, private investigators, surveillance footage. It was all displayed like a twisted performance, with Ennis orchestrating it like a seasoned conductor. Diana played the victim, her voice trembling as she spun a narrative of confusion. But the evidence spoke louder: texts, pregnancy schemes, recorded calls. And when the DNA results confirmed Sloan and Harper weren't mine, the courtroom seemed to freeze in suspended shock. Diana didn't cry. She simply blinked, a slow, stunned reaction. Brandon didn't even bother to appear. Ennis leaned in, whispering, "You've won, partner." But it didn't feel like a victory. A month passed. One night, my phone buzzed. An unknown number, no voicemail. Then another buzz. A text. "Daddy, it's me. Please don't tell Mom." My heart raced. Sloan. With trembling hands, I called back immediately. The line clicked open, a hesitant whisper on the other end. "Dad?" It was her. Her voice carried a fragile edge, older but laced with uncertainty. "Sloan?" A brief silence. Her shaky breathing reached me. "Yeah, it's me. Harper's here too." "Where are you?" "My room. Door's locked. She's on speaker." A smaller voice chimed in, barely above a whisper. "Hi, Daddy." "Harper." My chest tightened. "Hey, Sweet Pea. Are you girls okay?" "No." Sloane's voice was tense. "Mom said you left because you were mad. But I know it's more. I know it's about Brandon. About the truth." I remained silent, letting her speak. "She told us not to contact you," Sloane continued. "Said you'd leave forever if we did. That it would ruin everything." Harper's voice was even softer. "She said you'd hate us." "And her. And everything," Sloane added, frustration slipping through. "But you left anyway, and now it's worse. It's so much worse." My hand gripped the table's edge, grounding me. "Listen to me," I said, forcing my voice to remain steady. "None of this is your fault. You did nothing wrong." "You're still my dad," Sloane whispered, her voice almost pleading. "I don't care what any test says. You were everything to us. You were our entire world. I remember it clearly. So do I, Harper whispered, her voice trembling. Can we see you? Please, at the library near the school, after Mom drops us off? I drew in a slow, steady breath. All right. Dad? It was Sloane's voice again. Yeah? I'm sorry we didn't tell you sooner. I just didn't know how. I'm just glad you reached out. We love you. A tightness gripped my throat. I love you both. Always. Silence hung on the line for a moment before a faint click echoed. I remained there, the phone still pressed to my ear, my heartbeat quickening, my breathing shallow. Tomorrow, I would see them again. I caught sight of them in the library before they noticed me. Sloane, wrapped in that familiar gray hoodie she used to hide, and Harper, shuffling her feet with her head down. I stepped outside. Sloane looked up, and our eyes met. Her gaze was heavy, too tired for someone her age. Without a word, Harper ran to me, her arms wrapping around my waist. I missed you, Daddy, she whispered, her voice muffled. I missed you too, sweetheart, I murmured, holding her so tightly I feared I might hurt her. Sloane lingered a few steps back, nervously biting at the sleeve of her hoodie. Hey! Hey! I greeted, my eyes not leaving her. Are you all right? She didn't answer. Instead, she moved to a nearby bench, hesitated, and then slowly pulled up her sleeve. My stomach twisted. A dark, angry bruise stained her upper arm, the shape of fingers unmistakable. Who did this? I asked, though I already knew. Her eyes shifted away. Brandon. My chest tightened, air fleeing my lungs. What happened? I didn't want to eat the broccoli. I got up from the table. He grabbed me, called me a brat. My breaths came too fast, too hot. My fists clenched before I could stop them. Mom told me to cover it, not to make things worse. I'm going to fix this, I promised her, voice steady. Do you understand? Sloane's hand shot out, clutching my wrist. Don't let her stop you this time. I didn't blink. She won't. I placed the photograph on the police station counter as if it were a piece of evidence in a trial. The officer behind the desk barely glanced up, busy gnawing on a pen cap. Need to file a report? His eyes flicked toward his computer. Yes, I replied. Look at that photo. He glanced at it, then did a double take, his attention sharpening. That's a bruise. Who is the child? My daughter, Sloane Harlow. He nodded once. And you're her father? Not biologically, but I've raised her since she was born. His fingers paused, his gaze met mine. So, legally? I lost custody in the divorce. She lives with her mother now, but her stepfather, Brandon Joel Durant, he did this. The officer leaned back. All right, slow down. Who are we talking about? Brandon Joel Durant, my ex-wife's boyfriend. That photo is 2 hours old, Sloane told me herself. The officer sighed, pushing a clipboard across the counter. Names, dates, details, write everything. Someone will look into it. That man is still there, I said, forcing calm, with my daughters. Do you understand? I hear you, he replied. But there's a process. Fill out the form. We'll take it from here. My grip tightened around the pen, the plastic creaking under the pressure. My handwriting came out jagged, cutting into the paper. Finished, I shoved the clipboard back. Heading home? The officer asked, almost casually. No, I replied, meeting his gaze. Not yet. I was going to see Brandon. I didn't knock. I waited in the darkness until Brandon emerged, a trash bag in his hand, dressed in a t-shirt and slippers. I stepped out of my car, walking straight toward him. Jonathan, you put your hands on my daughter. His eyes widened, then twisted into a sneer. We're doing this now? No, we're done talking. My fist connected with his jaw, swift and unrestrained. He staggered into the trash cans but lunged back, swinging wildly. I dodged, driving a punch into his ribs. He tackled me, and we crashed onto the driveway, a chaotic tangle of fists and fury. I didn't care. His hands shoved at me, but I grabbed his collar, slamming him against the car hood. My knuckles ached, my shirt was torn, but nothing made me stop. I took a measured step forward, voice edged with cold determination. "Do you really think you can harm my child and just walk away unscathed?" I demanded. "You're not even their father," he retorted, his voice climbing in volume. "I'm more of a father than you'll ever be," I fired back. At that moment, a cascade of red and blue lights washed over us, a police cruiser screeching to a halt nearby. Doors flew open. "Hands where we can see them!" An officer's voice cut through the tension. Slowly, I stepped back, raising my hands in compliance. "Is everything under control here?" The officer's voice was sharp and assessing. "Far from it," I muttered, frustration knotting in my chest. Minutes later, I found myself clutching an ice pack, a stack of paperwork resting in my lap. My knuckles throbbed, a thin line of blood tracing the bone. The documents made it clear. I was being charged with misdemeanor battery, one impulsive punch, and now I was entangled in a legal mess. A court date would arrive by mail, likely followed by a fine, community service, or mandatory anger management. Jail was off the table unless I escalated things further. One officer leaned against the counter, casually flipping through my report. "You caught a break," he remarked. "A neighbor reported the incident before it got worse." "A break?" I gripped the ice pack tighter, my gaze locked on him. "That man struck a child," I growled. "We're still sorting out the facts," he replied, meeting my glare briefly before turning away, leaving me alone with a bruised hand and the weight of what was to come. Weeks later, the courthouse was a stark, quiet space. I sat rigid in a tailored suit, Sloane and Harper positioned behind me, with Butch and Becky offering quiet support. My attorney leaned close, murmuring assurances. Across the aisle, Diana sat alone, arms crossed, her expression a rigid mask. Brandon's absence was noted, the judge acknowledging his involvement in another ongoing case. "Miss Harlow," the judge's voice was clear and unwavering, "you knowingly permitted your partner to harm your daughter. You concealed the injury, dissuaded your child from speaking out, and failed to take action. This constitutes neglect." Diana rose, her voice fractured with desperation. "I didn't strike them." "Perhaps not directly," the judge replied, his tone unyielding, "but you allowed it to occur and took no steps to intervene." "He told me it was an accident, that it wouldn't happen again," she insisted, her words faltering. "And yet you directed your daughter to hide the evidence," the judge countered, before his gaze shifted to me. "Mr. Holloway, while you are not the children's biological father, your unwavering involvement, emotional support, and decisive actions have been recognized." A pause settled over the room before the judge continued. "This court grants Mr. Holloway full legal and physical custody of Sloane and Harper. Miss Harlow is permitted supervised visitation, subject to review after 6 months." Diana's face contorted with shock. "You can't do this. You can't just take them." "They are not possessions, Miss Harlow." The judge's voice was like ice. "They are children, and their safety is our priority." Her composure fractured. She slammed her hands against the table, sending her chair clattering backward. "He doesn't even share their blood!" she screamed. "Miss Harlow!" The judge's voice held a frosty warning. 2 officers moved in, measured but alert. "Ma'am, please step outside." "Don't touch me!" she snapped, shoving one officer aside. As another tried to guide her, she lashed out, sinking her teeth into his hand. He jerked back, swearing. Chaos erupted. Officers restrained her within seconds, her wild, frantic screams reverberating through the hall. "You're all liars! You'll regret this!" Her voice echoed until it faded to silence. As calm returned, Sloane stepped toward me, hesitant, then rushed into my arms. Harper followed, clutching me with desperate strength. No words were needed. I held them close, offering them the refuge they had so desperately needed. I wasn't letting go. "This story has come to an end. What's your opinion?" Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you liked this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.